I watched all 8 Fast and Furious movies in 3 days.
Why?
James, that is the question I've been asking myself and why I've been looking for work ever since.
Were they good? I mean, I'm sure I've seen at least one of them at some point. But,
you have no idea how complex a
good?
question, were they good? You've no idea how complex a question that what you've just proposed to me is.
Yeah.
I'm still in it. It feels like, when you take a long holiday and when you get back that evening, someone that you meet is like, oh, and how was it? And you're like, I don't know, man. I'm just here. I don't know what I saw. No, I'll very briefly, I won't go into all 8 of them or the plots or any of that stuff because it's just crazy. And I can't tell a few of them. I don't know. I can't remember what happened in which. The first one came out in 2001. And it was 20 years ago. It's a very, and number 9 is going to be one of the first movies out in cinemas when cinemas open back up in June.
Right. Good.
Which I can't wait to see because now I'm caught up. But it was 2001, The Fast and the Furious, it's called, is very low key, seems super low budget, like medium score, like 50% Rotten Tomatoes. And it's basically about street racing.
Yeah.
Right. So an undercover cop.
Does it have The Rock in it? Is he in the first one?
He's in the later ones. Okay. He comes in because something happens in the later ones. But anyway, so the first one is just Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. Basically, it's a movie with them.
Vin Diesel is who I was thinking of. Actually, yeah, mix him up.
The Rock is in the later ones, and there's a whole thing with that too. So Paul Walker's an undercover cop. He infiltrates Vin Diesel's street racing gang to try and stop them from stealing DVD players and TV VHS combos.
Wow.
They're like fat TVs with a VHS on the bottom and then separate DVD players. And it's like he's going to steal them and they're worth so much money. And Paul Walker has to infiltrate the gang to get them because he's the best cop that can street race. You know what I mean?
Well, they're black market DVD
players. And it's very quaint and it's got very like hip hop, Need for Speed Underground vibes. It's very 2001. It's frightfully 2001. Okay.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2, it's basically the same movie. It's like 2003. Basically the same movie, except they didn't have Vin Diesel back, so they just had someone else be the kind of side character. So they had it's like a buddy cop kind of thing.
Now let's just chill out and go do this. I don't need to chill out. Yes, you do. And you need to stop blaming me for your every mistake. And Roman Pierce needs to start taking responsibility for his own actions. You need to go to hell.
Yeah.
Number 3, entirely different cast. It's set in Tokyo. It's called Tokyo Drift. It's again very weirdly quaint movie. The main actor is terrible. He's supposed to play a high school student, but he looks like he's 50.
Where's my car? I crushed it.
You did what?
Sit down.
Easy.
You're done. You understand me? You're done. Before your 18th birthday. Now sit down.
And he's got this really bad fake Texan accent, and he keeps street racing, so he gets sent to Japan to live with his father, who doesn't want him, and then he ends up street racing in Japan, and then the Yakuza get involved for a bit, and it's really stupid, and luckily the Japanese aesthetic allows you to get through it. Okay. So number 4 is just called Fast and Furious. And it's essentially a reboot. Essentially a reboot of the first one, and it's the first official sequel to the first one because it has all those old characters back from the first one.
Okay.
So Vin Diesel's back, Paul Walker's back, and then the rest of the side characters are back from number 1. So number 4 is basically the number 2 to number 1, despite the fact that there's some through lines in 2 and 3, whatever.
Right.
It's very like the first one, except it's taking itself a bit too seriously now. and it's gone a bit more action, very serious, very dark, very it takes itself seriously in a way that it's not realizing the irony that it's a silly, quaint franchise from the early 2000s.
You here to take me in, O'Connor?
Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
Shut up!
But he was my friend, too.
You weren't anyone's friend.
Yo, can you guys talk about this later?
Yeah.
But then something magical happens at number 5, where the director, Justin Lin, I think, he actually directed 3, 4, 5, and 6, but he kind of realized what this franchise was and what it could be. And then they have this one writer that comes on around then, either number 4 or number 5, and he basically writes all of the rest of them from here on out. So they were basically studio put together movies until this point. And then it basically became one director, one writer, and they took it off. They go from quaint, kind of terrible, cheesy street racing movies to over-the-top, bombastic, insane, stunt-driven superhero car movies that are wildly entertaining.
Really, yeah?
What? So entertaining that you're like, because they know they're absolutely playing up to the irony of it, the seriousness of it. In the first, one, Vin Diesel, and number 4, Vin Diesel's all are super serious and a badass, and he's like, I'll do anything for my family.
You never threaten a man's family?
And that's because that's his acting, is just being grumbly. And he's constantly saying things like family, and he drinks a Corona in the first one, and they do this line in the first one where it's like, you can have any drink you want as long as it's a Corona, But then by number 5, every other character is referencing Vin Diesel saying family.
Family?
Look at our family now.
I already lost my family once.
And do you want a Corona? And he's like, I'm a Corona man. And everything is taking the piss out of itself because it knows what it is.
Right, okay.
Plus, they happen to be solid action, almost superhero scripts by that point. So they go from street racing, stealing DVDs, to saving the world from cyber terrorists by using awesome cars.
Street kid. Starts out stealing DVD players in East LA. Ends up heisting $100 million in Rio.
Not bad, huh?
It's a good story, isn't it?
There's a scene in number 7 where there's a car in a penthouse in the top floor of a Dubai skyscraper that they drive out and use a boost button to fly it out of the window to the next skyscraper, and then they fly it to the next one.
Don, cars don't fly! Cars don't fly! Oh, shit!
And I think it's either 6 or 7 where they fly cars out of a plane. Okay? And they just perfectly can angle them to then have a parachute come out and drive on a road. It's so fucking crazy and over the top, and they know it. They know exactly what they're doing. So you even look at the Rotten Tomato scores. Number 1, about 53%. Number 2 and 3, somewhere in the 20 to 40%. Number 4, again, about 40, 50%. Number 5, 6, and 7 all have above 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, wow.
And this is something I didn't expect because I had watched all the first 6 in 2 days. I put on number 7, and number 7 is the one that Paul Walker died while they were filming it.
Oh, right.
So basically, he was one of the main 2. Him and Vin Diesel were the main 2 people of the franchise. He dies tragically in an automotive accident in 2013, I think. Which terribly tragic, quite a young person. He's helming this franchise they make $1 billion, these movies now.
Yeah,
even the first ones didn't make anything, but because people have got on board for how crazy they go. But I wasn't ready, and again, because I was living in that world so much, they have like a tribute to Paul Walker at the end of number 7.
Oh shit! Really? Right.
So they used his brothers to finish the filming of his scenes because he didn't get to finish them, and they like CGI his face on. Now most of it is shot obscurely and in the dark. You don't really notice. It's not too over the top. But then at the very end, the movie's over, the plot has resolved, you expect credits. It cuts to Paul Walker, his in-movie wife, and his in-movie son. Now it's clearly the CGI on the brother's face or whatever, but he's playing with his son. And then the rest of the actors like Vin Diesel and Tyrese Gibson and all these other people have a real moment of, and they say stuff like, it's not going to be the same anymore, is it? And again, they kind of go very real with it.
Yeah.
And it's and that's when I felt like my heart start to like shake. Yeah. And I was getting like, am I choking up here? And I was like, oh no. And then Vin Diesel drives away. And Vin Diesel can't act. He's terrible. Even his acting can't ruin how fucking strong this end scene is. And it's even a Sam Smith song playing, and I fucking hate Sam Smith, and that can't even ruin how sad this moment is. And like Vin Diesel's at like a traffic light because he drove away without saying goodbye, and then the Paul Walker stand-in or whatever basically goes, "You didn't think you'd leave without saying goodbye, could you?" And then the music like swells up, and then it cuts to a montage of all of his scenes from the previous movies. And like him smiling and having a good time and all the fun stuff, and because I had just been on that journey myself, it hit me so fucking hard. And okay, here's the thing: Martha wasn't with me for 1 and 2. By number 3, she was on board, and she watched the rest of them with me because she couldn't believe how ridiculous they get.
Yeah.
We were both watching that Paul Walker scene. We couldn't do anything for the rest of the night because we cried so hard.
Yeah.
Like we both cried our eyes out. It's staggeringly heartbreaking. And again, like we were in it. We had just been experiencing him and all that. And it's so fucking sad though. It was so heavy that like we turned off the TV when it was done. We sat on the couch and we were just depressed. We were just depressed and like, I can't do anything tonight, man. I really don't feel good. You know, nothing could bring us out of the funk until I went on my TikTok, and that helped a little bit. But yeah, really sad. And then number 8 is the first one without him, and it's not as good. And like, it's fine. It's stupid enough, you know, like the rest of them. It is bombastic and over the top. And apparently, The Rock and Vin Diesel don't get on at all, though.
Really, yeah.
Because apparently, imagine, The Rock, you see, supposedly has a really good work ethic, and he's on time to set, and he's always training, and he's all positive attitude. And Vin Diesel is apparently the opposite. Supposedly quite the diva on set, shows up when he wants, thinks he's number one kind of vibe, and that goes back to maybe he says things he shouldn't with interviewers or whatever. All speculation. I've only read it online. But The Rock now won't do them anymore because of Vin Diesel. And The Rock was one of the better parts, because he comes in number 5 and he's chasing them down because they're criminals. But then they turn to the good guys where they're taking down terrorists, so The Rock is with them then in the next ones.
Dad, what's going on?
Daddy's gotta go to work.
It's
and
very...
Is he in number 8 or has he stopped doing?
He's in number 8, but he's not in number 9 that's just about to come out, I believe. I haven't seen it, but I believe he won't work with Vin Diesel again.
Yeah. Okay.
So family, because Vin Diesel constantly says family, or other people say family to him over and over again.
Almost killed my family.
Hosting his family in the Dominican Republic at his vacation.
You need to stop him before he does any more damage to our family.
Family.
My family.
But what's real is family. A family. A family.
And then I made my own spice bag for the first time.
Yeah, very nice.
Family spice bag. Thank you. Sorry, that was a long rant about Fast and Furious, but I've had no one to get this off my chest with. To go back to your question, are they good? The answer is they both are and are not, and I love them.